Hey everyone, I'm Brandon Frazen, Director of Vintage here at Bob's Watches. Welcome to another episode of Vintage of the Week. For this episode of Vintage of the Week, we have a lovely Rolex Submariner reference 1680 that features a gorgeous matte black dial with all white text. But first, before we go any further, let's do a quick wrist check. Today I'm wearing a reference 6265 Daytona circa 1975 with a Sigma dial. Be sure to let us know what you're wearing and share your wrist check in the comments below. Now back to this week's watch. The Rolex Submariner is easily one of the most famous sport watches of all time, and it has remained a constant presence in Rolex's catalog ever since it first appeared in 1953. When the Submariner was originally created, Rolex designed it as a simple time-only watch that was specifically designed for the world of scuba diving. However, by the late 1960s, the Submariner had become widely popular with more than just scuba divers, and it was ready to begin its next chapter. Appearing more than a decade after the debut of the original sub, the reference 1680 is the first Submariner to feature a date display. It holds a special place within Rolex's overall history because they still offer this configuration today. In addition to being the very first Submariner with a date window, the reference 1680 was also the first sub to be featured in solid gold. Plus, it holds the title of being the only date-displaying Submariner to have an acrylic crystal. The earliest reference 1680 Submariners were fitted with matte black dials that featured the Submariner name in red letters. But during the mid-1970s, Rolex switched to dials with all white text, hence the White Submariner nickname. The reference 1680 could essentially be seen as the date-displaying version of the reference 5512 or 5513, and for a while, all three of these subs were produced alongside each other within Rolex's catalog. Just like its no-date siblings, the reference 1680 features a case with drilled lugs, a bidirectional friction-fit bezel with an aluminum insert, and a depth rating of 200 meters. However, while the no-date versions of the Submariner from this era have domed acrylic crystals, the reference 1680 has a tall box-shaped acrylic crystal complete with Rolex's signature Cyclops magnifying lens. Collectors refer to these as top hat crystals. All examples of the reference 1680 Submariner in stainless steel will be fitted with a matte black dial, regardless of their specific year of production. With that in mind, the matte dials fitted to the reference 1680 watches can be found with a number of small differences, and since this particular example has a 5.1 million serial number, it dates to circa 1978 and features a dial with feet-first depth rating and all white text. As far as the condition of this specific watch, the case is in excellent overall shape, and while it has some minor scratches and appears to have been lightly polished, the bevels on the lug still remain visible and the bezel ring is still crisp and sharp. Similarly, the bezel itself remains in great shape and has naturally faded to a dark charcoal gray color over the years, giving even more character to the watch. The matte black dial is in also excellent overall condition. It's super clean with a light patina. The tritium lume on the hour markers and hands have aged to a matching buttery yellow color that pops against the black dial. Completing the look and feel is the C&I Made in USA Rivet Oyster bracelet that is in overall very good condition with some normal wear and scratches. The clasp is dated 76, which is fairly consistent for a watch of this age despite predating the production of the watch by a couple years. When it comes to relative value, the reference 1680 White Submariner is often considered to be a seriously compelling option, especially when you look at prices of similar Rolex sports models. The reference 1680 represents a major turning point in the Submariner's history, when Rolex's iconic dive watch first started to make the transition from being a piece of purpose-built diving equipment to becoming one of the most notable watches of all time. The classic 1680 White Submariner represents the true beginning of this timeless aesthetic, and while they aren't the absolute rarest or most expensive vintage Rolex out there, they are easily one of the most important and instantly recognizable subs. Lastly, remember that just like every watch we feature on Vintage of the Week, this exact one will be available for purchase directly on our website, so go and check it out over on bobswatches.com/vintage. Don't forget to check back next time to see what standout vintage watch we'll be featuring then. Bye!